Okay, cool. So, tonight's question then is when was the last time that you felt like you lost control? What happened?
And that's pretty easy.
Yeah, some of these might be more recent than others.
And for Torta, it's when he beat the shit out of Bo. Not by choice.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly did lose control there in a way.
Holy.
All right. How about Boo?
I really don't. Well, in overtime, everything does is pretty well thought out. He doesn't do things really spur of the moment. I guess the closest thing to spur of the moment is he wasn't exactly sure what he was going to to like tattoo on Mix's head. That's kind of when he was gonna do something else and kind of lost control of himself and put Coward there because he was very frustrated that he wouldn't attack him because I think Mix knows that Boo would just fucking murder him given the chance.
Okay. And how about Zayara?
Um, well, she can't go into details for legal reasons, but you see, there was a mansion, and somehow mysteriously it caught on fire, and uh, some people might have died, but no one can prove it was her.
All right.
Makes sense.
And some things might have gotten stolen, but everything burned, so you can't prove it.
So nothing got stolen.
Yeah, got stolen.
Nice and clean hands here.
Yeah.
All around.
She is completely innocent, squeaky clean, and you can't prove otherwise.
Cops don't got nothing. Nothing.
Yeah. Goddamn guards don't got nothing on me, and they never will.
Not that there's anything to get.
Yeah. If there was something to get, they'd never get it, but there is nothing to get. You get it?
All right. So, who wants to give us a little rundown of the high flute and shenanigans y'all got up to last time?
You.
Me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, we must be thinking of two very different role play sessions.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, here I'll give a rundown then. So, you guys are back at the manor, chilling after apprehending these rat bastards that were fucking with your place. And you'd been doing some shopping, kind of going around. Zaire was out with the kids. They were kind of over in the market square buying some like nice clothes and things. And on the way back home, Zara and the kids got jumped by some drow. And this wasn't too far off from Troll Skull, so you managed to break free, and Zara managed to turn invisible and start heading towards the place. So alert you guys. The kids are all running. You guys are busting out of the manor in a frenzy, and you have a little fight, kind of in front of Troll Skull and on the rooftops, with these couple of drow that were trying to yoink Zayara. And the kids are currently safe inside of a hole in dimensions, and you guys managed to take out one of the drow and then kind of chase the other one all the way across town, down to the docks area. And let me just get you a little quick map here of where you guys were at. So I don't have a little pin thing for this place, since my location pins don't work in Unity, which is sad. But on this map, the area you guys went down to was, if you look kind of on the western half of the map, there's kind of a barrier wall of sorts that kind of cuts across the middle of the harbor. And then there's Coin Alley, which is like the end of where there's most of the buildings. And then there's like a little dock that's got some buildings and crap that are on it. So you're kind of on like this like outskirt edge of the Dockward area. Like this whole area is like kind of run down. I mean, like when you guys got here, I mean, most of the buildings here are ruins, or at least kind of heading that way. Kind of rough housing for the downtrodden. There was like a kind of beached ship there, that, and some other like structures and things, and you had a fight with the drow and some of their compatriots and some sort of submersible apparatus that they had, and managed to blow it up with some fireball, as well as some stuff in the area. He kind of blasted the big beached ship a bit, and some of the other smaller buildings, things like that. And you managed to drive them. Well, you didn't drive them off. You killed them all. And you managed to make out of it alive. And so at the moment, we are all kind of on the docks here, kind of catching our breath a bit after that kind of surprise fight. Let me find, where did the map for the shore go? Oh yeah, there it is. Let me get this one up here on you. Here we go. Close in on the shore. You guys are just taking down the last guy here. Oop. He's not there anymore. And yeah, so you guys are kind of on the shore here. It's kind of, a kind of stillness in the air. Partially because it's, a lot quieter than it has been the last few minutes as you've been blowing things up and whatnot. But you guys are kind of putting yourself back together here on the shore. You can kind of see, looking around you, here and there, like you see people kind of tentatively poking their heads out of, slightly cracked doors and windows of some of these places. It seems like, they'd kind of hunkered down during the fight a bit. And you kind of look towards the docks here, and there's that kind of large beached, old ship that's just kind of been reclaimed on the shore. And like taking a look at it there, it seems like it had been kind of turned into some sort of kind of cruddy tenement of sort. And like the kind of underside of the front part of the ship, kind of on the, just on like the on the side of like the stern, there's kind of a decent hole there where part of the blast from blowing up this turtle submersible had taken it out. And you can kind of see looking in there as the smoke clears, and the kind of fishy smelling wind on the shore starts kind of coming back through. You can see like from through that hole in the ship, like it seems like there's some kind of crude, lodgings in there. Maybe it blew up some guy's little apartment, something like that. And the people around you are kind of looking out at you, like a bit scared. Maybe not entirely sure if things are safe to go out yet. What are you guys doing here on this shore, picking yourself up?
I will stand up. I will loudly announce the people that I killed here today had the audacity to try and hurt children. And then I'll start searching bodies.
Okay.
If there's any near me.
In terms of ones
Can't
near
remember.
you, I mean, there's like the one drow gunslinger that was left that you guys are kind of all around right now. The other ones, there were some that were with the submersible, which has gone down into the harbor, and there's a few others that are kind of scattered around the docks, like kind of where Jinku's at. There's two kind of near her. There's one that's still up on the kind of top deck of that larger ship there that Torta had bonked. But it's mainly those four bodies that are still around.
Yeah, like I'd quickly see if there's anything of interest on any of them.
Sure. Let's see here.
Nix is going to try to look for one of those guns. He's intrigued.
Sure. Let's see. On most of the drow here, you don't find too much. I mean, you find some coin here and there. I mean, it seems like most of their it seems like most of what they had on them was like pretty minimal for whatever it was they were up to. So they did have a little bit of coin purses on each of them. Let me put that in the party sheet here. 1 second. So searching across them all, you find about 15 gold pieces and probably 23 silver and a few copper among all of that. In terms of those guns, Mix, let me take a look here. Do I have an item for that? Do I have just a regular pistol? Okay. Let me put these in here. So the two gunslingers, they have these pistols on them. Looking them over, you can kind of see that they had some pouches with some ammo for these pistols as well. And Mix, you kind of look over some of this ammo here, and you can see that it's been kind of treated with some sort of poison substance. You probably need to look into it deeper for some more details on that. But you can tell they're not just like regular old bullets. They seem to have like some sort of something on them. And I mean, at least from your experience with them, because a couple, I think you got shot and some other people did get shot. There's some sort of acidic or poisonous substance on them.
Yeah, Nix is gonna take one of the pistols and the ammunition, and he's gonna look at everybody and be like, anybody else want one of these? He's more interested in the alchemical side of things.
Nope.
Study them.
Yeah, those two pistols should be in the party sheet. I just called them pistol and poison. I'm not gonna make you keep track of ammo. I'm just gonna assume if you have it, you can do stuff with it. But yeah, if you want to take them, they're in there. Aside from that, though, the guy up on the boat. Let me see here. So you look through the kind of belongings of this guy, and this was the guy that was up on the boat. This was the one that you had like chased across town. So he was with the initial couple or a couple of them that were up at Troll Skull. And kind of looking through his pockets here, you find what looks to be a folded up piece of paper that appears to be some sort of report.
A report?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you mean?
Like kind of like strategical notes. Well, here, if you're taking a look over, here's what it says. So you find this report is kind of written. It's written in silver ink, and the paper that it's on is kind of a dark hue. It's like almost black, which was a little out of the ordinary. But the silver ink on this piece of paper is kind of written in a very, fine, seemingly well trained hand. Like it isn't. It's very nice penmanship. So somebody who obviously knows what they're doing or has been to school or had some sort of schooling in this, and you see first a short note that's written as suspicion. Neverember's enigma is nothing less than the millions of dragons embezzled from the city funds of Waterdeep. And you see farther down kind of a larger note that says there appear to be numerous factions in play, but I suspect the most significant of these, the Castellanters, Xanathar, that bloated bag of gas, the Manchunian Zentarim, the Growlhans, Lord Dagalt, and the Open Lord, it seems that other players are also involved or interested in involving themselves, and some attention should be paid to how they might be turned to good use. Of prime importance are the Galore Eyes. Xanathar's eye, I suspect, has been entrusted to his keeping. Monsoon's eye is almost certainly secured within his Kolot towers, and the Castellanter eye probably lies somewhere in their estate. Gaining control of an eye must be our top priority. Those who control the Galore artifact are the pivots on which the outcome of the grand game will turn.
I'll stand up and say, "All right, guys, I found what we need. It's time to go home."
Oh, and it's also like there's a initialing on it of JB.
JB.
I'm gonna look at Boo and be like, Do we want to try to figure out where these guys lived and see if maybe they've captured any of the eyes? I'm thinking they lived in the ship.
Is there still like onlookers?
Yeah, I mean there are still onlookers. Like there's people that like live here in this kind of slummy area. They're now like since they've seen you kind of looking around and the violence has kind of died down a bit. It seems they're kind of getting back to the normal ring of things. Some of them are kind of heading back over to the shore to nets or other various equipment that were there to continue working on whatever they were working on. You see kind of some children in rags that are kind of coming out of some of these houses and beginning to return to the streets under the eye of their mothers. Um, Things have quieted down a little bit. It seems like this place isn't really too unfamiliar with violence, and since it's calmed down for the moment, it's business as usual for them, it seems. And there's a
Well,
pretty wide mix of people too. Like you've got all manner of races here, it seems. Whoever has kind of fallen on cruddy times.
I'll ask like if there's anybody nearby, if these people look familiar.
Sure.
Is it like if they live around here?
Yeah, sure.
Information gather or something.
Yeah, go ahead and roll. Let's say, say like an investigation check.
Hey, that's like my favorite skill check to do.
All right. So as you all are kind of going around, you guys had taken this note off of the one up on the ship, and you're coming back down, kind of off that top deck, and so you're kind of in the middle of this dock area and these structures here, and there's what looks to be a kind of grizzled dwarf who seems to be in the middle of trying to pick up some crates and move them somewhere else, and you kind of walk up to him here, inquiring about the fight that you had just had and these people that had just come around, and he kind of gives you a look and says, "Well, there's all sorts that come through here, but I can't say we've seen much drow."
All right then. I don't think they're from around here or lived around here. Mix. I think this is the direction maybe they ran in, or maybe they were trying to report to somebody here. But I think this, and I'll kind of wave that paper before that report before putting it back in my pocket. Is the information we're looking for anyway?
yes, and that ink is unique. I would like to take a scratching and we can take it back to my lab to see what that's all about, because silver ink is kind of rare. And it could have some chemical properties or a hidden message in it somehow.
Agreed. Let's get out of here before the guards get here and the kids run out of air.
So as you all are kind of packing up to make your way out of here, Boo, like you're over here on the docks, and you hear from behind you to the east, kind of a shrill woman's voice, kind of calling out to you, and you kind of turn. You hear from behind you, "Oi! You think you could just come in here and make this kind of mess? There was some valuable submersible salvage that just went down there. You think you can just let that be?" And oh, go ahead.
Mixer's just gonna look at her and be like, "If I get that back for you, will you let us leave in peace?"
So you turn around to this voice speaking towards you, and you find a fairly old human woman standing there, and she's got these kind of surprisingly outlandish robes on for the area, and she seems to be standing in. It's like if you're looking at the map there, pretty much straight at the eastern end of that dock. There's that kind of medium-sized building, rectangular building. She's standing in the doorway of this and kind of pointing in your direction, one hand on her hip. And she looks like this. She's got like a little pair of pince-nez glasses on her nose. And she kind of comes huffing towards you all, kind of frustrated at the noise, and kind of hemming and hawing about you hear her muttering under her breath something about the Kraken's folly, and there's gonna need so much work to patch up the Kraken's folly again, and it was such an interesting and ancient machine, and you all went and just blew the thing up. You blew it up. You have any idea how much worth those kind of ancient devices are? The research we could have done on that.
They were being hostile to us, weren't they? On that thing, or did I just? Because I remember like working on blowing that up. But they were being mean to us on that thing. I didn't blow it up for fun.
It was, yeah. During that fight, that thing like surfaced and like blew a scalding cloud of steam over you all.
It almost killed you and Jinku twice.
Yeah, like it whoever was controlling that particular thing seemed to have been allied with these drow. That doesn't really seem to be what she's interested in. She's more interested in just the device itself, whatever it was. And she kind of sees you looking at her puzzled, and she kind of shakes her head a moment here, and then kind of rapidly extends a hand and says, "My apologies, my apologies. It doesn't seem like you are from around this area. Grinda Garloth, treasure seeker and researcher, at your service. I can't help but notice you guys came here and this fascinating piece of ancient dwarven submersible appeared, and before I could get much of a look at it, poof! You blew it all up, and it fell to pieces in the depths of the harbor. Who knows how far?"
Well, they attacked us with it. What do you expect us to do?
Well, surely there's better ways to take out the people inside if they're coming after you without having to destroy a valuable piece of history.
Well, yeah, I could have like not destroyed it, but there's no showmanship in that. I need to teach a lesson. These people attacked me. They assaulted my person and his person, I guess. And I'll wave at Mix. And I'll like kind of look back at Zayara and Torda and Jinku, and I'll say, "Oh, and then them too, and some kids. But most importantly, me. You understand? It'd be like if I hit you, you would probably want to destroy me."
Well, I don't know how much luck I would have with that, but, I mean, ancient as though I may seem, and as much knowledge as I may have, there are far more interesting things in the world that are worth protecting.
I don't disagree. You said you hunt treasure, huh?
Well, treasure in a way. I search for historical curios. I am particularly interested in the ancient dwarven apparati that they had managed to construct during the times where they were more prevalent in their power in these lands. That dragon turtle apparatus, I had heard rumors around the area that someone had managed to find it or
dig it up or came by it somewhere in the many various ruins that are underneath the harbor here in Waterdeep. But I did not realize that they had managed to get it functional to the point where they could even, do violence with it. But goodness, who knows how ancient that thing might have been? So many secrets it must hold. Oh, I would love to get my hands on the pieces of that just to take a look over them and feel the history in their steel.
Well, could you get a scroll of water breathing or something and just go down there and check it out? I mean, it's the bottom of the harbor now. What's the big deal?
Well, I mean, I suppose you could go with a scroll of water breathing, but there are many untold dangers in the harbor. The harbor is a very, very old place, and there are many old things, old legends and shadows that whisper through the waters down there. I would not really want to go wandering down under the harbor with merely a bubble to protect me. Um, but if you are interested at all, I mean, I would be glad to have some assistance. I have a device that may be useful to you if you are willing to do a little work for me and bring some of that salvage back.
Do we know how many pieces it's in?
No idea. Like, it got blown up by fireball, and sunk. And the water in the harbor, especially being kind of in a cruddy part of town and also this close to the town, it's not the clearest of waters.
I'd also been heating it for like 5 or 6 rounds. So
Yeah, like
probably
it was boiling and then blew up.
anyway.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. I mean, I don't. It's not like I have like a fortune to hunt or anything. So sure. What do you guys think? And I'll turn that to Torta and Sarah.
I mean, if that's something you guys feel like doing, I'm still reeling pretty badly from the last battle. I'm not sure if I'm up for treasure hunting.
Oh well, of course. I don't mean right now. We can always rest, but we can take this quest and uh, come back when it's brighter out. I'm sure, right? I'll kind of say that as I'm like kind of asking. I closed the picture with her name on it.
Grinda.
Grinda. I was going to say Grilda, but Grinda. Uh, does this need to be done immediately? Do we have some time? Or can you fix this? Their faces are kind of messed up, and I'll point at Zyara and Jinku.
Well, she kind of looks you over a bit and says, "Well, hey, that's certainly fine. There's no particular rush, I guess there would be, but it's just something I would love to have love to have my hands on, and I'm getting a bit up there in age for me to get down there myself. Here, follow me. Let me show you something that may pique your interest a little bit more." And she kind of turns around and kind of starts hobbling back towards her little structure here, and you see her disappear inside the door.
I'll hand Zyara one of my potions and be like, drink this, it'll help. And you can roll 4d4 plus 4 healing with this one. Some advanced potion I had in my inventory.
Damn.
Hmm.
Nice.
It just says roll both of once, potion of healing, advanced. I have no idea where it came from.
All right. Mystery potions.
Gotta love them.
So do you follow Grinda into her little rectangular harborside structure here?
No reason I wouldn't.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. So you head inside the door behind her here, and you see inside this kind of small room. Like there's a kind of a small room on the southern half of this, and another door that seems to open to the north. And it's a fairly rudimentary home. The bed is unmade. There's like a small stove, a coat rack, a table, a stool, kind of a stuffed chair in terrible condition, um, a sea chest at the end of the bed. Um, and also, you can see various books that are scattered all over, and what looks like kind of a rudimentary alchemist's laboratory of sorts. Kind of perusing some of the open books that you just see on the table. You see, various writings about the dwarves, and you see various kind of sketched diagrams of these kind of various dwarven automatons and constructs and things of that sort. She seems very interested in this kind of history. And as you're kind of walking through this room, she walks through that door to the north, and you're kind of hit with another kind of blast of this kind of fishy harbor smell. And you see beyond is a pretty decently large room, and the floor around the edge is all kind of similar material to like what you'd see as the rest of the dock. And the middle of the room is water. And floating in the water, you see. Oops. This. Kind of floating, docked in this little kind of boat house sort of structure that she has set up. You can only see kind of the top half of it sticking out, but you see kind of a pretty decently large metal cylinder, and kind of poking a little bit out of the water on each side. You see these structures that look to be kind of leg shapes, and there seem to be these. And they're currently like raised up out of the water right now in kind of a resting position, but there's these like two large metallic uh, kind of crab-like claw arms that are on the front of this thing, and then like two little periscopes mounted on the front that look like eyes. And it's just kind of floating here. You see it's kind of tied up with a few ropes in various places, kind of holding it inside this boathouse. But she kind of gives you a moment to kind of look it over, and kind of smiles, beaming in your direction. He says, "This is the apparatus of Quailish. It is quite a find, I must say. I can't believe I managed to find it in such an excellent condition so many years ago. But it has been invaluable to me in terms of hunting treasures and finding ancient secrets down under the harbor here in Waterdeep over the years. But I'm sorry to say it hasn't gotten quite as much use recently for me. My eyesight is not as good as what it once was, and with the harbor as murky as it is, uh, it's a bit difficult for me to go down there like I used to and really get any good use out of it much anymore. But I hate to see it go to waste, and I hate to see whatever remains of that other apparatus go to waste as well. I'd love to learn more about it, but you are more than welcome to, if you're interested in assisting me here, to borrow this from me and head down into the harbor and see what you can find. And of course, if you do manage to bring anything back to me, I'd be more than willing to let you take it for a spin anytime. I'd be more than happy to see more people take an interest in these interesting pieces of our history."
Being a tinker, Boo is like all over this thing.
Yeah.
He's got his book out and is like drawing and whatnot. And is only like half hearing Grinda what she's saying as he's like kind of looking over it. Yes, we would borrow this anytime. You got keys for it then, or something that we can just take with us? I jest. Uh, yes. I think that this would be perfect and would be of great assistance, but I do think we probably would best benefit from resting and coming back and then using this contraption later to investigate the other apparatus that I unfortunately did somewhat, maybe perhaps, could have had something to do with destroying, but not provable in a court of law. I want you to know that I have gotten off on every charge that I have been brought up against in court, but I've done time.
Well, that certainly sounds like quite the story. You seem to be quite interested in the apparatus. Are you interested in the works of tinkering and mechanics?
Well, I've got like this thing that I've been working on. Pull out the bits that I've been the like exploded bits that I've been kind of tinkering on for a while.
And you've also got Tortoise Eye, technically.
Yeah,
His cool eye
but
patch.
like I mean, to be honest, he cut out Tortoise Eye because Boo's just evil like that. There's no magic in that. Boo did it because he wanted to cut out Tortoise Eye.
Well, no, I mean the eye patch that you made for him afterwards. It's kind of
Oh yeah, that yeah, but that's Tortoise. I'm not going to show that off. But yeah, I have this. I've been trying to figure out how to capture like a bit of a soul inside of something.
Ooh, capturing a soul. That is usually a bit of a dark magic, so at least from what I know. I can't really say
Okay.
I know not much about it myself.
Oh,
I'm more interested in more of the metal moving parts. She kind of slaps the top of her apparatus here. You can fit so many bad boys in this thing.
yes. I mean, those are definitely another quite interesting form of work here. It's not often you see one intact, is it?
No, not at all. The years have not been kind to things like this, and especially not the wiles of the ocean. They tend to not treat these very well over time, especially if they're not taken well care of. I mean, at least in my age, I can still get around and scrub what needs to be scrubbed to keep the buildup and the rust and things away, but, yes, my eyes cannot see quite as well out of these periscopes as they used to. But, well, I'm glad that you have an interest in it. It takes a little bit of skill to navigate it properly and function, so you seem to be up to the task.
Yeah, I'm the most intelligent person in Waterdeep.
Well, that will certainly come in handy here, I think so. Well, I'm glad to hear of your cooperation. Again, it would be a shame to lose that, but yes, please take your time and your leave. I mean, I'm sure I'll still be here. I don't get out too much, and I'll be around the neighborhood as we try to pick up some of the pieces, as it were. We always rebuild and get back to life here, around here on the Mist Shore. But yes, please, come to my door anytime.
We will do so. Come on, Jinkus. That potion helped, but I think we could all use a little rest.
For a second, I thought you were going to be like, that potion helped, but your face is still really messed up.
Missed opportunity.
Oh, that's not nice. Mix just was completely not interested in all of that. He was more thinking of all the projects he has in mind. And he's just like, You know, I'm mostly okay. There's some things I need to go do. I'll meet you all back at the end.
Okay.
Try not to die while you're out there. Please.
Sus.
All right. Did so the rest of you all head back to the inn? Aside from Mix, it sounds like.
I would probably be happy myself to spend a little time, like kind of chatting and like looking over this thing with Grilda.
Grinda, yep.
Grinda, sorry. I'll keep calling her Grilda. I'm like that. Um, and like I'll use prestidigitation to clean it for her. Like when I'm seeing like joints and stuff, I'll use that to clean, bits of rust and stuff off as best like being careful. And then
Yeah.
like I'll ask her first, like try to be nice because he is, the is it group are definitely a bunch of little tinkers. That's my jam. Trying to mess around with devices and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, and she's more than happy to continue talking to you about this, and kind of starts explaining some of the workings of it and how like once you're inside, it'll automatically open the doors of the boathouse here, so you don't have to manually. Like she's rigged up the arms in some way that it looking at like the doors of the boathouse, they're like these kind of pretty heavy iron doors, and there's like a large iron bar across them that's like keeping them shut from the ocean. And it sounds like she's gotten this set up that you can use these claws to automatically get that out of the way and give yourself enough passage to get out into the ocean. And she kind of describes to you how um, kind of the finesse of using some of the controls in this for going up and down under the water, and kind of moving around it seems like the way that it goes, um, it's powered by some sort of um, it's powered by some sort of magic, and the legs kind of move and give it enough like push to go around places. And
Okay.
but yeah, from what it sounds like, it'll take some intelligence to kind of successfully work this thing, which you feel pretty confident in yourself that you got the intelligence to do that sort of stuff. So yeah. And the others of you, like, you're heading back to the inn to kind of rest up and make your faces look nice again. Mix, what were you up to?
Well, Mix has been concocting ideas and all that. And he was thinking about starting a small brewery in his alchemy lab because a lot of brewing is alchemy based.
True.
So he's wondering if he can make some cool brews for the bar so that we have something that attracts more customers.
Ooh, okay, cool. Yeah,
So
I say that's definitely doable.
he's off on a mission to buy a draft horse, a cart, and barrels because he's going to need lots of supplies to do this.
Okay. Let's see.
I think I forgot to write down the cost of barrels. Crap.
Yeah, I can find it real quick. So, in terms of barrels, it looks like they are like two GP a piece per barrel, and then
Yeah, sounds about right.
yeah, and then for like a horse, if you're getting like a horse and a cart to move these barrels around, total it looks like that's around 90 GP for the horse and the cart.
Well, he needs a draft horse, which is 50, and a cart, which is 15. He's not
Oh wait,
looking for.
draft horse. Sorry, I didn't look at that one specifically. Okay, yeah, so 65 then for that.
and he's gonna want. I think how big was the basement? Because his lab takes up a small portion, and he doesn't have anything else down there.
Let me double check. He had a fair bit of size because it was, kind of a, alcohol storage area in years gone past. Let me double check. Let me find the map of that here. Let's see. Troll Skull.
That'll determine how many barrels he comes back with. Like, he's going to start an experiment in the first barrel, and if it works and he makes something tasty, he's going to start making different things and sees what sells best. And then make that continuously, but he can only use a barrel once.
Where the heck? I know I have one with the basement somewhere. Here we go. Okay, let's see. It is 5, 10, 15, 20, 30. It's approximately 30 by 20. Like, it's not a perfect rectangle. Like, there's some parts in the wall where it comes in at an angle, but roughly about that size. So for like a regular barrel, like a regular barrel's, if it stood up on its end, it's like 2 feet across, something like that. I feel like it's been a while since I've seen like a barrel. So yeah, you'd probably be able to fit like a decent. Actually, well, here, let me pull up the dang.
Well, my lab is 10 by 5, so that gives me 20 by 15.
Okay, yeah, the basement part is the bottom chunk of this. So yeah, if you're if your lab was like taking up where those like where the picture of those like massive barrels is, because that's about that little like alcove is like 10 by 15. Then you still have like the rest of the basement like behind the stairs and that whole left bit where it's all like the wine bottle looking racks right now.
Well, I would say more like that L-shaped area in the corner there is my lab.
Oh, okay, sure.
And then the rest is kind of just empty right now.
Okay.
So I'd probably fill that corner, that side up with, say, 6 barrels.
Yeah, that's fine. Sure.
So 6 barrels, 2 gold apiece, that's 12 plus 65, that is 77.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
And then I have lists for supplies for each alcoholic beverage that's able to be made in D&D. I found a list and how much it costs. Like, I've done a lot of research on this.
Nice, that's awesome. Was there like anything in particular you wanted to like start out with to kind of get your feet wet, or what?
Well, I was looking for something that did not have too much of a. It also gives me the effects of the drink.
Okay. Cool.
And there was one, Deep Miner. It's a shiny golden liquid with black foam taken from a keg with floating lumps of coal. Initial strong alcohol taste followed by delicious warm honey, golden taste.
Huh.
And then the effect is upon your next long rest, your character makes a bowel movement. You must roll a D100. If you roll under the number of drinks consumed, your feces contains a small gold nugget worth D10 gold. If not, it's a painful coal-filled movement. And it's 10 silver per pint.
That is an excellent drink. Oh, the heck? Wow.
So, like, our customers, they could, like, roll and we'll just, like, pick a random number.
Yeah.
You know, like, if we roll under a number...
Get your money back.
Yeah, our customers come back in with 10 gold, and they buy more drinks.
Just keep the money flowing in a cycle. It just goes around.
And to make 6 barrels, that would cost me well, to make 1 barrel, it would cost me 20 gold to produce.
Okay.
And the drinks would be worth 250 gold. So it's a 230 gold profit.
Nice, not bad. Cool. Neat. Okay, let me write that down. I said it's called like Deep Miner is what that was called.
Here, I can send you the list.
Oh, okay, yeah. Just send me the list. That'll be easier than me writing it down right there. Yeah, cool. Yeah, we can totally mess around with kind of doing some interesting brews at the place, and have those kind of boost or do whatever they do to the patronage. That's cool. Yeah, that's a really good idea though. I like the sound of this deep miner scheme of sorts.
Yeah,
Self-generating money machine.
It's number 11 on the list, and the list of costs. So it's going to cost me, say, 20 gold to produce 1 barrel. So, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, cool. I like it. We'll take a look into that and see how that pans out for people. So the rest of you, well, I guess and Mix too after he goes for his little shopping run here. You guys make it all back here. You get the kids out of the dimension hole that they're in. They're fine. They're a little bored. It's not very interesting inside the dimension hole. Not really at all. But they're glad to see you all. They're glad that you're safe. They're glad they're safe. And they happily get back inside Troll Skull with the rest of you to kind of hunker down. So while you're sleeping here, let me rest. There we go. Okay. So while you're having your rest here, Boo, you're having some weird dreams again. Gotta stop eating weird shit. Gotta stop eating cheese before bed.
Spicy ghost pepper cheese.
Spicy ghost pepper cheese dreams. But yeah, you're having some kind of strange dreams again, and you kind of find yourself back in some of these similar situations that you'd felt in the past, where you're kind of in this kind of unfathomable void, and there's some sort of great and ancient presence there that's kind of unknowable and beyond your reach. But it seems a little bit like things seem a little bit clearer this time than the last time. Like before you were hearing like weird whispers and just like there's all this kind of odd stuff floating around you that you could never just like grasp in your mind's eye quite enough to hear what they were saying at all. But you managed to kind of pick out a short sentence from among the whispers this time. There's still plenty of whispers that you just don't get and that pass you by. Like you just can't understand them at all. But this one, you hear bronze scale of dragon, Alethea's tear, visage of that which you hold most dear. If a large debt you need to repay, bring these 3 to your vault to open the way. And that is the only bit of intelligible whisper you manage to get out of anything during the night. There still seems to be a lot that you just don't have enough to understand yet. But you at least have something. May not be the deepest of secrets, but it's a piece.
So can you give me one more time? I got the bronze dragon scale and the tier.
Yeah, so here, I'll read that again. So, bronze scale of dragon, Alethea's tier, visage of that which you hold most dear. If a large debt you need to repay, bring these 3 to your vault to open the way.
Interesting. Okay.
So you get that, and you manage to get some sleep besides that throughout the night. But those words kind of linger in your mind. You wake up and you're kind of still hearing those bouncing around in your head, and probably write them down yourself once you're awake. But yeah, morning has come.
I suppose this is something I would I'm like pretty private, but I would reluctantly discuss that at breakfast. Guys, I've been having these dreams, and at first I was thinking that it was a god coming to me to acknowledge my greatness and just establish a relationship before I ascend to godhood, which we all know is inevitable. But I digress. Here is what I picked up in my dream last night, and I believe that it is probably important in all. Yeah, most definitely wrote that out in my book, and then made a copy as well for the everybody else, and so I'll put that piece of paper out on the table to show people. This is one of the whispers that I heard. And I mean, it seems relevant. It could be just a dream. I know that's what you're thinking. But understand that a mind like mine doesn't just make up a dream, everything means something. It's all important. Good talk, guys. Then I'll finish my breakfast.
But I mean, would anyone be surprised if Boo just had a conversation and made up what everyone said?
Yeah, Boo would do that 100%. If people don't talk to Boo, Boo will come out with your side and treat that as what you said.
I agree with you, Zayar. This is true. He's been talking to me about conversations I've had with him my entire life. I never talked to him most of the time.
Yeah, see, it's this easy, Riz. My name's Mix. Then I'll like drool a little bit, and I'll be like, nah, I'm Mix. And I'll just act pretty dumb for a while. Because I'm intelligent, but I'm not mature at all.
I'm just going to look at the rest of the party and be like, you wonder why the way I am? This is who raised me. Anyway, Mix is just frustrated now, so he's going to walk out the door and start dragging barrels through the top of the inn down to the basement.
The kids are happy they kind of come over to help out however they can. You get 3 of them kind of awkwardly carrying one barrel down, themselves, kind of haphazardly making their way down the stairs with it. But
I would stop them and put 3 on one end so I can carry the other.
All right. So you come over and kind of give a little bit of guidance there, and going goes a little bit smoother. Once you're all kind of working together and not awkwardly grabbing opposite corners and moving different directions. But you do manage to get these barrels down to the basement in somewhat short order there with their help.
And that's where I stay for the next 8 hours. I'm working on my brew. It takes 8 hours to make.
Okay. What are the rest of you up to then? Well, Mix is doing mixologist stuff.
Well, probably making, standardized testing on the children. It's about time for that. So, like, I'll be testing their knowledge on what they're supposed to have been learning and what we've been teaching them, making sure they're progressing right.
Okay.
I don't know.
Tortas there. Are you guys getting up to anything here?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know. I think I'm a lot more brain dead than I thought I was gonna be tonight. Thinking is hard.
That's the way it goes. Well, you do Boo. You spend some time, educating the kids, teaching them stuff. It goes, fairly well. I mean, they're kids; they get distracted, somewhat easily with some of these subjects. But they at least manage to pay a fair bit of attention through most of it. There a couple times, Squidly pipes up, wondering why they need to learn this stuff because they're never going to use it in their lives. But still try to listen to your instruction in the process.
I motivate them by laughing at them and telling them because I'm going to sacrifice them and I need their souls to be intelligent.
Alright.
Cue by uncomfortable -1 charisma laugh.
Let's hear it. Oh my god! Oh, that was great. So you finish teaching the children. You still got good of time left in the day. After that, you want to head back over to like Grinda's or see what other stuff's going on? You got a few.
Yeah, I mean, that's. I think that we probably could, and then we could pursue these other leads here after we forge into the deep. But let's take a break from this vault hunting for a little bit. And what do you guys say we go take that contraption underwater? Come on, you guys know you want to. Fine, I'll go myself. And then, like, I'll leave.
Diara doesn't like small spaces.
I'll go myself.
Or being underwater. So really, you're just fighting a losing battle with her.
Okay.
He's not fighting. He's gone. He's out the door. He left.
What's Tortoise feelings on this apparatus thing? Is you going along, leaving Boo to his own devices? What are you up to?
We'll go with him.
Go with him. All right. All right. All right. So you two, make your way back across town. It's typical kind of late spring day here in Waterdeep. A little bit of cloud cover, but pretty comfortable temperatures as you're making your way down that way. And you get to Mist Shore, down on the edge of the harbor here. It's um, still that nice kind of harbor fish stench going on in the area. As you walk up, you see there's a few men that are kind of hanging by ropes off the side of that kind of larger ship, and are kind of doing some work to kind of patch up the hole that got blasted in the kind of upper part of the stern. Um, they don't really seem to pay you much mind as you walk by. They don't recognize you or anything at all. They're just there working, and you're just people passing through. And you head down the dock, make your way to Grinda's place, and I assume knock on her door, or
Yeah, sure.
okay,
I suppose he respects her enough to knock on the door.
okay. So you knock, and after you hear a little bit of um, kind of fussing about inside, and after a minute or so, Grinda comes to the door, um, and she happily beckons you inside, like, "Oh, you've returned. Uh, not all of you, it looks like, but enough. I mean, more than enough to operate the thing. I've done it myself for many years, but 4 hands are better than 2." And she kind of leads you inside, and you can see it looks like had been in the middle of like cleaning up after or lunch or something. Like there's a few dishes that are kind of haphazardly in the wash basin at the moment, and like the robes that she has on, like her sleeves are both currently kind of shoved up to the elbows right now. Just kind of, at least from the sounds that you had heard while waiting at the door, it sounds like you kind of caught her mid scrub of a pot. Um, but she happily leads you back into the little boathouse area uh, attached to her home here. And let's see, let me pull up the info here. So, for the apparatus, there is on the top of the kind of cylindrical, main structure, there is a decently sized hatch, big enough for most medium-sized creatures to get through without any trouble. And she reaches up there, like she has a kind of a small ladder that's leaning against one of the walls in here nearby, and she brings it over and kind of stretches it out over there. It kind of makes more of it's less of like a vertical ladder than it is kind of a horizontal ladder that you kind of walk across the rungs to get over it. It kind of balances on top of uh, the little arms on, or the little legs of sorts on one side of this, kind of bridging from the side up to the hatch. But she says, "Well, there's I've put plenty of power into it for you, that it should last the whole day if you manage to take that long. Um, but I don't think there should be too much trouble, as far as I know. But of course, keep your eyes up and about. There's many things have come and gone in the harbor over the many eons that Faerun has been around, and so you never know what you might find if you aren't careful. So keep a watchful eye out, and well, I hope you're able to find something interesting."
I'm sure we will. it's going to be exciting. Torta, have you ever spent? Your people. Do you guys live underwater, or do you guys spend any time underwater like this? I've never been able to do anything like this. I'm quite excited.
Yeah, we spend some time underwater. It's not like a permanent thing, but we can sit down for a good amount of time.
Wow, that's interesting. So this will not be new to you. Well, at least one of us has some experience then.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
All right,
It's been out of
so
water way too long.
indeed. Well, you'll be in a metal can at least, but you'll be in a metal can in the water. So you two, make your way inside, and inside the apparatus, you guys kind of get yourselves situated. There's kind of a main seat right near the front of the thing, and there's a few various controls for piloting the craft. You've got kind of one main kind of larger uh, lever that controls like the buoyancy of the thing, so the up and down in the water, and then you have a few other kind of directional levers for kind of maneuvering the side legs, and however they are arrayed to turn various directions and move forward with its swimming motions. Um, there are also nearby, like not directly in front of the seat, but kind of off to the side of the seat, there are a couple of controls that kind of Grinda, like once you guys are in there, like Grinda kind of makes her way up and is kind of standing on top of the thing, like looking down at you through the hatch, and she's kind of pointing these things out to you. Um, just now that you can kind of see them in person, and there's a couple of almost kind of joysticks of sorts on one side that she mentions are for controlling the kind of prehensile claws on the front of the device, and each of them has kind of a pressure trigger on it that kind of controls the claw motion, as it were. And as well as aside from that kind of main seat, there are a few like there are two other kind of designated seats in here that don't seem to be quite as well used as the pilot seat is. It seems that for many years this has just been Grinda who's been using this, and whatever its original intended purpose was has perhaps been lost to time. But there's a place for you to sit to as well. She does mention that uh, there's a pair of kind of periscope. There's almost like a pair of binoculars, and each one of them kind of looks out. Like when you look through them, you're kind of seeing through both of like the periscope eyes, and that's also kind of near the pilot seat. But there's enough room that the two of you together can probably kind of work together to run this thing. One of you doing the controls, and the other one of you kind of keeping an eye on things. The only real like porthole in terms of viewing outside, aside from the periscope, is kind of directly in the front. You can see there's that kind of small circular area, like right in front and center, which is a kind of a thick, kind of fisheye glass set into the steel. Directly in front of the pilot seat. But aside from that, the rest of the apparatus is pretty solid, uh, you know, steel for the most part. But she, gets this all set up for you and bids you on your way, and mentions to push the big button at the back to release from the docking mechanism and head you guys out into the water. And she closes the hatch behind you, um, and you can kind of hear it automatic. You can see it kind of automatically closes itself once she shuts it on you here. and you two are alone in the apparatus of Quailish.
Just you and me. We're going under the water. Are you ready to do this?
Do I have a choice?
Yeah. You always have a choice.
Doesn't
Always
feel like
choice.
there's much choice at this point.
All right, fine.
I'd rather be outside the vehicle than inside it.
You'll be fine, and I'll like just hit the button.
so, so you smack the button here, and there's kind of like a jolt as that hits. As some of like the various cabling that she has, like anchoring this to the dock, come loose, and you look out the porthole in the front of the device, and you can see like the claws that were in front of the structure, both kind of lifting up, and they catch on this iron bar that's like holding the doors, and like push it up enough that it like sets into like another notch farther up, and the doors swing open now that they don't have the bar blocking them, and sunlight comes rushing in. You can see it kind of sparkling off of the water of the harbor, and you can see in the distance, from where you are, you can see there's kind of like the outer ring of the harbor. There's like some land out there. There's a few kind of guard towers out there. But otherwise, the door is open, and you are free to go. You both of you can kind of feel that you're kind of freely floating at the moment.
All right, I'll just like navigate this thing out and
All right.
make our way down here.
All right, fire away. So go ahead and roll an intelligence check for me for operating this son of a bitch here.
Every like turbulent bump we have, I'm punching him.
I wish there was like a vehicles check. That'd be cool. Intelligence it is 11.
Okay. So you get out of the boathouse, so you're clear of that structure, and you're kind of starting to mess with the buttons a little bit. And it's still a little awkward for you. It's your first time in one of these. It's been a while since you've really messed with any sort of major tinkering type things. This is a whole new experience, and so I mean, naturally, you're a little green in the gills as to how things go down, and as you begin your descent, like you go, you're starting to take the buoyancy down, so you start going under the water, and for the first little while, you're kind of at a little bit of an awkward angle, like you're under the water, and like you got a little bit of a tilt to the apparatus. So you're kind of going down at a little bit of an angle right now, as you're trying to figure out how to properly adjust the directionals so that you're flat, which eventually happens after a while. But that first little bit is a little bit on the awkward side, as you're kind of trying to sit sideways in your seat and futz with things. Once you're under the water, so like the water comes over the porthole as you go beneath the surface, and at the moment there's not a lot to see. Like I said before, like this close to the shore, I mean, it's a big city, also kind of a cruddy part of town. You've got plenty of human pollution, and just the pollution of civilization that washes off into the harbor here, and from the shipping and from all the stuff that goes on here. It's not the clearest of waters, so you're kind of straining at the porthole here, trying to see what you can make out, and now and then you maybe see some kind of vague shadows, like maybe some sort of rock formation on the slope of the harbor as the harbor bed goes down. But otherwise, it's a little difficult to see so far.
Okay. Well, I'll keep on going, I suppose.
Okay. So Boo, while you're kind of managing driving this thing, like Torta, are you doing anything else in here, like like assisting him at all, or are you just kind of chilling behind him in the seat, giving him sucker punches?
Yeah, I'm waiting. Every single bump, he's getting punched in the back of his mask.
All right. So Boo, you at least have you're feeling a little bit motivated to get a handle on this thing. So we'll say next time you got to do an intelligence check for driving this thing, you're going to get advantage on that from the motivation of Tortoise punches.
Don't make me move to the front of the mask.
Don't kill me this time, at least. Jesus, I'm trying to drive this thing.
Yeah, you don't.
Get good.
You two got business to do down here. All right. So as you kind of make your way down, starting from Grinda's place, like it isn't too long before you like feel that you've kind of reached or are kind of just above like the seabed of the harbor, and so you've kind of been using that as your guide to kind of follow down as it slopes away from the shore into the deeper parts of the harbor. So you've been doing a pretty decent job keeping it kind of just above like the shadow of the sea floor that you can see out the porthole. But eventually, after probably a good like 30 minutes or so of fiddling with this thing, uh, things start to get a little bit clearer, and you kind of break away from some of the muck and the pollution at the edges of the harbor, and you find that you're kind of getting into a deeper section, um, like the floor that you've been following kind of falls away at a decently steep angle, and you can see the kind of yawning uh, y- darker water of this harbor, as you're kind of getting closer to the rest of the sea, start to kind of open in front of you, and it's a pretty fantastic sight. Like the water's not perfectly clear still, but like you can see a pretty decent distance, and you can see like looking over what is visible from the floor below, or what peeks up from the darkness. Aside from various rock formations, you can see what look to be uh, pretty ancient ruins, covered by various sea life corals and kind of tall waving seaweeds that have taken root on them. But you can pretty clearly see these you know people made structures, or what's left of them, uh, kind of jutting out from below here. Uh, do a do a history check for me, Boo, as you're kind of looking out over these ruins here. Okay. Let's see here. So you know just from kind of the general history of this area that there is a race of beings that have been said to kind of live like in waters like these, or in other kind of near to the shore, deeper areas. You've heard tales of merfolk before, in the past, and again that kind of comes to your mind, looking over these ruins and these like structures underwater, and you kind of wonder a little bit, if that, if those are true. Maybe these are from them, maybe these are from something else, and they live there now. But you have heard, rumors and tales, in bars before of merfolk societies that live deep under the waves and don't really interact too much with the surface dwellers. But kind of piques your interest a bit while you're floating around here. Hey, Pumpkin.
That is interesting.
So as you kind of get to this part where the water deepens, go ahead and roll me another one of those intelligence checks with advantage, thanks to Torta's motivational sucker punching. Nice, very nice. All right, so you're feeling a little bit more comfortable with this apparatus. You've kind of gotten back into a little bit of the swing of things with mechanical devices. Like it's been a long time, but you still have those skills in the back of your mind. It's like riding a bike. You learned to ride a bike forever ago. You don't ride a bike for like 20 years, but you get back into the swing of it pretty quick once you pick it back up. Kind of similar sort of thing. Like you haven't, driven something like this before, but you've at least messed with mechanical constructs and things before, so you kind of know what they're about. And especially now that you're, not so right against the seabed, and kind of turbulently bouncing off of it and getting punched every now and then. You're kind of more in this open water, so you feel a little bit more free to kind of float around and take a look. So now that you're kind of out in this open water, are either of you, like taking a look through the periscopes at all, or trying to like, take a look around, anything like that at all?
Yeah.
Okay. Roll an investigation check for me. So like you're kind of peering around the porthole, like you've been thinking about these merfolk, and then you kind of remember like, oh yeah, we're here to try to find where these were salvaged from this wreck rolled off to. Let's see.
Shit. Ouch.
Oof. All right.
I'll
So
punch him again and ask if he needs some help.
Well, I'll turn because he hit me while I'm trying to look through the telescope or the periscope. I'll turn and you probably see a bruise forming on my eye. And I'll say, yeah, why don't you give a look?
punching hasn't helped too much in that regard around the mask. So Torta, you kind of pull the kind of binocular little setup here of these periscopes to your eyes, and you kind of look around a little bit. They have a little bit of motion to them, like you're able to kind of turn and like move with the binoculars, and you can kind of see that the little eyes at the top kind of, they don't have like a full range of motion, but they turn around a little bit. And looking over, like Boo, you've managed to kind of turn the apparatus. You're kind of looking back at like the way you came, and kind of seeing the the seabed as it comes away from the shore. And Torta, you can see without too much difficulty that there is a pretty obvious trail going through the kind of gravel and sand at the base of the harbor here, leading from kind of where you guys had come from. It seems like it sunk and pretty much went down, and then with the current and the slope of the seabed, it kind of made its way, kind of sliding across the sandy seabed bottom, and seems to have gotten to the edge here and fallen into this kind of deeper area that you can't quite see the bottom of. But from what you can assume from looking at it, you're guessing it's probably just probably just below wherever it kind of dropped off the undersea cliff there, just farther down.
I'll point at the trail that I see, laugh, and say, "See, you just need to be a little taller to see the trail."
Well, fucking taller. Don't start yanking on levers. I'm sure it earns me a couple hits because I'm probably not gentle at that point.
All right. So you're already kind of facing in that direction, but you managed to kind of get the just some of the buoyancy levers and direction, and you kind of find yourself heading downwards into this kind of darker area, and like you find you have to you're having to kind of fine tune the controls a little more as you get in here because there's there's some of these like ruins are nearby, and you're trying to avoid knocking into those. You don't want to mess up Dad's car on the big date, and eventually you're kind of getting into a kind of a harder to see level of the ocean floor here, like some of like the depth that you're under has kind of started to uh, impose on your vision a bit. But you manage to continue pressing forward. You do notice as you kind of descend into this darker area, um, there seem to be a couple of small lights that have turned on automatically that were mounted on the outside of the apparatus, at least from what you see, because like you get into this darkness, and for a little while like you can't quite see very much, and then these kind of lights turn on, and they seem to be mounted like on the outside of the hull, just above this like porthole here. So you can kind of see on the picture of it, those two little circles above the porthole is where these appear to be coming from, and they help a bit with your vision here. There's lots of little, there's just odd little fish and things that are kind of darting in and out of your vision in the darkness here. And eventually you manage to settle on what seems to be like another, shelf of the seafloor here. And you look around, trying to look out the porthole, and Torda, you're looking out of like the periscopes here, and as you're turning it around to like one of the sides, you can see pretty plainly, kind of silhouetted by the light coming out of the front of your little ship here, um, the kind of silhouette of the head of that dragon turtle looking apparatus is down here.
Make sure to call it out.
Oh boy. Let's take a look.
Okay. So, with Torta calling this out, like you kind of manage to rotate the ship a bit. Like you can feel like the legs, they're kind of like scuttling and turning the ship along the floor here. And, with the lights kind of in full view here, you can see there's the head of this dragon turtle, which is a lot of what you'd really seen of it during your fight with it on the shore, because a lot of it was kind of under the water, and then its head and like maybe the front part of like the shell structure was what was sticking out and blasting steam at you guys. But you see this is there, and you can see like a part of the hull that was attached to it is there, and then you can see there's like a pretty, like this is like torn off from the rest of it. You see some other kind of shadowy shapes kind of nearby, kind of just out of the edge of your light here. But you kind of assume these might be some of the other pieces, but this at least looks to be the front bit.
And what was she wanting us to do with this thing? Like bring it up, right? We're supposed to grab these bits and like bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. From what you understand of her, like she mainly just wants to be able to like study these and you know find out what she can find out about them. About these ancient structure or about these ancient apparati. Um, so whatever form it's in, she just wanted you to bring back whatever you could of it, um, so that she could do research.
So I'll take notes about where we pick it up at, and how it was laying or whatever, and then I'll try and collect it up with one of these claws.
Okay, sure. So go ahead and do another intelligence check for me as you um, kind of head over to these claw controls. Nice, very nice. Okay. So you head over to these claw controls, and you kind of have like both of the arms, kind of open up as wide as you can kind of get them to go, and you get both the claws to kind of open up as wide as you can get them to go, and then you kind of slowly bring them in, kind of around this piece, and you kind of as gingerly as you can try to like kind of slowly bit by bit like pull in the kind of pressure triggers on the claws. You don't want to just shear it off, but trying to bring it in as gingerly as you can and get a hold on it, without damaging it too much more than it already is kind of fucked beyond repair. um, but with that, if you feel pretty comfortable with it and you do manage to get your claws around this kind of head, neck, front, whole piece of this dragon turtle, and you feel you've got a pretty solid grip on it with the angle you've got with these two claws in it.
Well, I guess our hands are full. We may as well take this home and then come back down for more. What do you say, Torta?
And let's try to get as much as we can while we're here. I'll jump in if you want.
Maybe you could pile some stuff like on top of what we've got in our claw.
Yeah, should be able to. Is there a way to get out of this damn thing safely
Uh,
without, like, I'm worried about you. I'm not worried about me. I mean,
that is
I
something
popped the top. You're probably dead.
we didn't consider, huh?
So you're kind of looking over the apparatus here, and like the only real like entrance in or out is the hatch on the top, and like there wasn't any really kind of airlock on the thing. It's just a hatch, and then you're outside. So I mean, opening it would probably be very difficult at this level of pressure, and two, if you did get it open, things would probably not be very good for Boo very fast. But if you were wanting to try to kind of in tandem, one of you outside, one of you inside, like can Grung can just like breathe underwater, right? I'm pretty sure they can, because they're like
I
frogs.
don't think it ever really said.
Grung. Let's see.
I mean, he has water dependency, so I'm assuming.
According to just from a quick search around here, it sounds like Grung can. They are able to breathe underwater.
Yeah, they're
So
amphibious.
yeah, so you're good there. So yeah, like if you're kind of discussing this, amongst yourselves, and if you wanted to do something like that, like you could. It'd just be you'd have to do that from the start, with Boo on the inside of the craft and Torta nearby, swimming freely outside, um, together down below. So that's something you could do, but not on this run at least, because you're already down at the kind of bottom of this harbor here, and that would be difficult.
Kurt is gonna act like he's gonna try to pop the hatch anyway.
All right. So
I
Boo,
can get out of this. Yeah, I think you'll be fine.
Boo, you see Torta kind of heading towards the hatch wheel here and kind of starting to try to turn it, with great difficulty, but he's still trying. What are you doing?
I'm like halfway through like casting rope trick and getting the fuck out of here. And he's like, I'll probably die, like, cause like I have to come out eventually, but like, maybe maybe there'll be some air left. Who knows? Oh, but yeah. But I also know better than to like get close to it. It's not like I can stop him. So
All right.
We'll have to make 2 trips, I guess.
yeah, I think if we go up and we drop this off, then you could swim down and like hang on to it, and I could navigate us, and then you could get, we could work together. Like I could grab things, and you could maybe like point things out, and we could pile stuff onto this, and then get more. Like
Yeah, we can do that.
okay,
Okay. Sure, that sounds good. So you've got the grip on this front bit, and you manage to kind of get off the seafloor with it, get the buoyancy going. Let's go. Let's do. Go ahead and give me one last intelligence check on this run. Now that you've got this big hunk of salvage in your hands, let's see how well you get up out of here with this. Okay. So it is a bit more awkward piloting this thing when you're also holding on to a big hunk of salvage. And a lot of the way back up, you're kind of at a strange angle. Um, you're heading upwards, but you're kind of tilted forwards because you're not quite figuring out the right angles to kind of counterbalance this salvage on the way up, so you're flat. So you're kind of looking downwards a lot of the way. And you manage to get kind of up out of the steeper part, and you're kind of back up into the semi-clear part of the harbor, and you can see, looking around from here, like again, you see these ruins, the various fish that are around. Maybe you see the bottom of a shipping vessel going by, things like that, and you turn back towards Grinda's place and kind of make your way back as the water gets kind of progressively murkier to the shore. And as you get up close to like the boathouse, you're kind of looking and trying to figure out how you want to do this, and it doesn't really seem the best of options to try to plow right in there holding this, because it's just not going to fit directly. And like as you kind of surface with this apparatus and the stuff it's holding, you kind of look over to the boathouse and you can see Grinda kind of in there waiting, and she sees you surface. You can see kind of a smile beam across her face, and she hurriedly kind of runs out. You see her run out of the boathouse, like through her house under the dock behind, and then standing over on like the dock next to her house, she kind of starts waving her hands in your direction to kind of get your attention. And you manage to, floating across the surface here, you bring this over, and she has a couple ropes nearby that she kind of tosses over to try to catch on some of these like odd pieces of this salvage, and manages to tie it up enough to the dock here that it's not gonna sink back down into the depths. Um, and once she gets that's tied up, you can see she's kind of like looking through the porthole here, like trying to get your like attention. You can see she's kind of like waving her hands at you there.
yeah. I mean, if there's like a hover mode, where it can just like sit and we can open the thing and get out, because
Oh yeah.
we got to kick Torta out anyway. So I'll do that. I'll kind of make my way closer, and we'll pop the hatch or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, now that you're above the water, it still takes a bit of effort, but you manage to get the hatch open. It's not having to fight against the pressure of the water now. But you pop out of the top. You're kind of floating there, and Grinda is here being. She says, "Wow, you certainly found a big piece. Was there more of it down there? Was this all you found?"
Well, he says he saw a bunch more down there, so we could try get more.
Oh, well, if you would, that would be wonderful. Yes, like, if there was more of it there, I'd love to have it. There's certainly more than enough power in this thing to last you. No worries there.
Are you sure? You keep bringing it up like it might be something you're worried about, and now you're making me a little worried about the power in this device.
Oh, it looks like it's got enough power to last for forever.
You have
Just get
killed
back
me
in.
once. I do not trust you not to kill me again just yet, friend.
And she kind of looks over here and says, "Well, here I'll take a look real quick just to be sure. I mean, it can be scary going that far down under the water, if you haven't done it before. It's a whole nother world down there." And she kind of goes back over into her hut here, and you can see her. She comes back out. She's holding a book in her hands, and she's also kind of got one of those the ladders that she had to kind of get uh, up onto the thing, and she kind of clambers over the ladder here, like up onto the hatch, and kind of makes her way down inside with this book. And Boo, you can see that she kind of goes to the back here, and there's like a small um there's like a small little door, um kind of in the back end of this, that's kind of glowing with kind of a warm golden light. And she pops this open, and she's kind of looking in there, and there's this kind of interesting kind of magical hum kind of coming off of whatever's in there. Like, it doesn't like it there isn't really any scent. Like, you don't smell like coal or whatever else that you would usually expect from this kind of thing. But you can see her kind of turning through the pages in her book, and you hear, like, muttering a few things here and there, and then she pops the door back closed and kind of gives it like a friendly little slap there, and says, "Well, there you go. I topped it back up for you just in case." And she kind of reaches back up out of the hatchway at the top, and makes her way back over to the dock.
All right, well, Torda, are you ready to do this?
I was born ready.
Okay. I'll go in by myself this time.
All right. And I think for at the moment we're gonna take our break there. We're already a little ways over that halftime there, so we won't have quite as much left when we get back. But that seems like a good spot to break for 10 minutes before we come back and do run 2. So we'll be back in a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the where they keep all the alchemical books.
Oh, the Blackstaff Tower. Okay.
Yeah, I just have it written down as a tower. I'll write the right name down.
Oh, sure, that's fine. No worries. Yeah, that's Blackstaff. Yeah, you could certainly head over to that. Um, well, the library and kind of headquarters of Majory here in Waterdeep.
Yeah, he's got a list of potions he's gonna start looking up.
Okay. What sort of stuff are you looking for there?
For the first 3, potion of animal friendship, potion of diminution, and potion of invisibility.
Okay. Okay.
I'll explain my plan later.
Okay. Sounds good. Um, yeah, in terms of finding books about those and how to make them, yeah, I'd say you'd be able to like find those without too much difficulty. Like, those are all you know fairly commonly seen spells and things that are in use, and kind of potion versions of those.
Well, 2 of them are rare, so it would take me 4 hours of searching in Blackstaff to find those.
Okay.
And one of them is common, so that would be about an hour, so a total of 5 hours.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and I would I would assume, like, along with just the just the finding of the how, part of that search is also the the finding of the what to make it. Because like some of those potions, like being more rare, you know they probably take some rare ingredients that you probably don't just have around or can buy at your usual local apothecary shop.
I
But
have my list of ingredients and what else I would need and how much of it, and
okay.
I've got an entire notebook I've dedicated to this.
Nice. I like it. That's awesome.
I keep meticulous notes too of what I'm making and what I have and what's lying around.
Nice. All right. Yeah, I mean, like, if there's like, if you've got that written down, like whatever those things were, and what of those things you probably wouldn't have on hand. Yeah, like the time that you spend there at Blackstaff, um you'd
Yeah,
probably definitely be able to find that sort of stuff.
that's what Smix is off doing. He has no interest in mechanical salvage. That's boring. He wants to create mayhem.
Nice. All right. Well, Boo and Torta are over having a boring time in the ocean. so, so you two, you got the first piece up there. Grinda's sent you back off again, topped up the apparatus just in case. You can never be too safe. And you guys start making your way back down under the water, this time with Torta on the exterior. So, Torta, as you guys are going down here, like, how are you going down with this thing? Like, are you like holding on to it and you're just kind of going along with it there? Are you just kind of swimming freely?
Nah, holding on to the hatch. I'm gonna make it difficult for Bill. I'm like feet planted on it, trying to lean back and rock as he's driving, trying to throw off the balance.
All right. Um. So I mean, like, Boo, like, you guys have gone down once before, so you kind of know the way to go. Um. Go ahead and roll an intelligence check as you're piloting this thing with disadvantage. Um. Like, it's a little hard for you to notice, like, inside the can, the effects of um, Torta on the outside, or what exactly is happening, because he's just kind of rocking back and forth, making kind of making resistance against the water with his body. Uh, but yeah, as you're you're heading back down, kind of going down the kind of shallower shelf as it gets deeper and deeper, kind of like you did before. Coming back up, like, things were a little awkward coming back up holding that piece, and for some reason, like, you're finding it's a little awkward coming back down as well, and you're kind of like looking out the porthole, seeing if you see anything. You don't see anything. You don't see Torta either. He's not like in front of the the porthole or anywhere like visible that you can see. But you just kind of notice that the controls aren't quite um, reacting how you thought they would. Like close, but not quite, and so it's a little bit rough. You're kind of going, tilting to the left and right here and there as you're going down.
Order.
Boo's just
Do it.
Boo's
You
just
see
taking
any
mental notes.
mermaids?
What?
See any mermaids?
Um,
Is there, because like I figure there's stuff as ruins there. I don't know. Is there any mermaids? I'll probably like stop and look through the porthole and see if I can figure out like what the fuck is causing all the it to be more difficult than it was. I should be getting more familiar with this thing.
yeah.
All you see is a web foot covering the porthole.
Yeah, we'll say that. You go to like kind of try to look out the porthole, and you can see like one of Torto's feet is kind of partially uh hanging down across the porthole there. You're not able to get a really good view of what he's doing since he's kind of above it. Um, but at least from where his foot's at, um, it seems like he's just he's hanging on the outside, being weird or something, from what you guess.
I'll grumble to myself and then try and navigate to the debris.
Okay. So despite the Torta kind of getting in the way and making things a little more difficult than they should be, you do manage to make it back down to that area. So Torta, on the outside of the craft here, I mean, you're moving your feet around, moving back and forth, trying to cause trouble, but like you're able to get the kind of a better view of the area around on the way down than you did, from inside the craft, since you're not obstructed by anything. And so, looking around, like you can see, off in the distance in these kind of deeper areas, these various ruins, again, that are like sticking up out of the water. You feel looking pretty far off into the distance, you feel like you can like see um something or other like swimming under the water, like a ways off, like maybe like maybe even like a mile off underwater. It's kind of hard to tell, but you feel like you see something like swimming around like one of the ruins a long ways away, amongst like larger than just your usual fish and things that you guys have seen everywhere. But otherwise, in the kind of clearer area before you get too deep, um, it all seems pretty much the same as it was when you came down the first time. But you get down to like kind of the darker area, and the lights come on. They're kind of shining through your foot webs as they're kind of hanging over them. And you get back down to the bottom, and where you managed to land, like you managed to land pretty close to where you did before. Like Torta, you can see just from looking at the kind of sand and gravel and stuff that's been stirred up here. You can see the area where like the previous piece that you guys grabbed was at is kind of currently lit up by the lights. Um, you kind of see a few other things kind of at the edge of the light, but you probably have to move around a bit to try to find uh, where some of these other parts are.
All right, I'll kind of go down on the ground.
Okay. So Boo, on the inside, you got this kind of parked here on the ocean floor. You're kind of looking out the porthole, and you see the foot come off the glass here, and Torta kind of making his way around the edge of the light here, kind of poking around, seeing what he can find. Torta, go ahead and roll an investigation check for me here. Okay. So Torta, you go looking around, and you manage to find what looks to be like a decently sized piece of the hull here. Like, it's difficult to see, just because it's kind of just outside the kind of area of light currently lit up by the apparatus right now. Um, but like just from swimming around, like you kind of feel at it a bit, like with your hands, and it feels like metal. There's maybe even a little bit of like residual uh, heat on it, just from all of the heat metal that had been being done to it earlier. But at least like in the darkness, it feels like this is probably the right thing.
Cool. Does it look like I can move it, or is it too big?
So you kind of like you're feeling around with it with your hands, and like this particular piece that you've found seems to be pretty decently large. Like you weren't able to really get much movement on it. You find a spot to kind of grab onto it, and you're kind of jerking yourself back and forth, and trying to do some hefty kicks and stuff to see if you can like pick it up. And like this part isn't moving too easily under your own strength. Like maybe just like you can kind of maybe hear some scraping noises, like very slightly, but um, not getting too much progress on this piece. It seems like a decently large one. You're probably going to need some equipment for.
All right, I'll go up to the contraption and like knock on the window for Bill.
Okay. Boo, you find Tortoise face outside the porthole here. He's kind of knocking on the glass.
I'm motioning in the direction of the piece that I found.
Okay.
And then do like the crab hands.
All right.
Okay, I'll navigate to where he
Okay.
is taking me.
Sure. So Torta's kind of staying in front of the craft here in the light, and kind of continuing to kind of make motions in the direction to go, and you're getting this thing to kind of scuttle along the bottom here, and kind of turn in that direction. And once you kind of get close to it, you get it all lit up with the light here. You can see that this seems to be um, pretty much a lot of the rest of like the back half of this other submersible. Like it seems like when you blew it up, like it seems there was kind of one point, kind of towards the front end of it that really got hit with the explosion, and it kind of blasted it into two kind of bigger pieces. Like, of course, there's you can see looking around, there's plenty of other like little or bits of detritus around, um, but this seems to be most of the rest of it, from what you can tell. And as the light kind of comes over it, like you can see that like the way it's sitting on the ocean floor here is that like the blown open side is kind of facing towards you right now, and the light kind of passes over the interior here, and you see um, kind of what's left of what looks to be kind of the piloting chair of this particular submersible, and you see that there is the body of a drow there in the chair, uh, very, very severely burned, like all over his skin. Like it's almost unrecognizable as a typical drow complexion, with how covered it is in kind of burns and like boils. and that sort of thing, and like its face is kind of frozen, this like twisted scream of agony. It's a little bit kind of disconcerting, especially when like the light first hits it, because you're down here in the dark underwater, and your light comes across this just nasty looking display of death here. You can see there's like a couple of like as you're watching it, you see like maybe like a little crab of kind of crawling along like his arm or something like that, and kind of like picking at things, like trying to get a morsel or something like that. But yeah, nice sight.
Yeah, we'll leave him there for the weird lady.
All right. So now this is lit up here. Boo, are you gonna gauge the claws here on this thing? Try to get a grip on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once he starts moving the claws, I'll move to the hatch so that I'm out of the way.
Okay. So you head back over, kind of perch yourself on top of the apparatus here, and Boo, you kind of get into position to start doing the claw game here. So go ahead and do your intelligence check for operating this claws. Yeah. Nice. Okay. So you kind of you kind of get the claws, kind of spread wide, get the pincers open, and you begin kind of moving towards to try to get like a decent angle on this thing. And the way it's kind of landed here on the floor is like you're finding it a little bit awkward to get a good grip spot with it. Like you maybe like get it, with one claw, but you can't quite find a good spot to grab with the other one. Or like maybe you kind of get one claw like under a part of it, and the other one's just like not quite finding a good place to connect. It seems like you might need, um, like you might need a little, whether it be maneuvering or kind of futzing about with this to get a good solid hold on it that you feel would, hold up to the surface.
Okay.
And Tardy, you can kind of see like sitting perched on top of your little crab apparatus here you're sitting on. They seems to be having some difficulty getting a good grip.
All right, I'll move out to the second arm that's trying to get his and try to help assist it into place.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a strength check for me then. Ooh. All right. So, Tardy, you kind of get over there and you're trying to push a bit and, get some leverage on the side of this to try to get it a little bit closer to this claw. And like you seem to feel it, moving a little, but it doesn't quite seem to um, get where you need it to go just yet.
All right, Torta's gonna get pissed. The frog arm of doom is gonna pop out, and we're gonna start gently pounding on this thing, trying to get it up out of the dirt and the sand.
Okay.
Sediment.
Sure. All right. Go ahead and roll another strength check there, and go ahead and do it with advantage this time, since you got your various arms all gangbustered out right now. Nice, better. Okay. So you start kind of pounding around this thing, around like like you said, the sediment around this, trying to clear some, get a better, get it a little more out of the dirt, so you can move it around a bit more, and you manage to um, get it up just enough that like the left claw of the apparatus like has a has a pretty good grip on where it's at,
and the right claw, like it isn't like a perfect grip, but it has managed to get kind of somewhat around one of the legs of the dragon turtle. Like one of the back legs of the dragon turtle, you managed to kind of maneuver into a position that the claw can reach. It seems to be well enough.
All right. Do we see other pieces, or is this pretty much all that's left down here?
Like you do see like other pieces around. Like there's, like other kind of smaller bits here and there that are just kind of scattered. Like, this is a decently sized, metal, kind of complicated metal apparatus structure. So there's plenty of, smaller, piston looking things and gears and, kind of small mangled pieces of metal that are just kind of scattered around the area, um, throughout the sand. It seems like this is, pretty much the other main half that from what got blown off. But I mean, if you wanted to grab some other things, you could probably try to set them inside what remains of like the cabin of it.
Hmm. If this is the majority of it, and the rest are just like little scraps that come off, I'll try to help maneuver this back up to the lady shop.
Okay. So, so you are so like when as Boo's trying to like get off the sea floor with this, are you kind of like staying near the um like the salvage stuff, trying to make sure it stays in the claws, that kind of thing, or like
Yeah, I'll kind of be like in between the claws, making sure that they stay gripped
okay,
so that it doesn't fall out.
okay. Let's see here. So, yeah, so you're kind of swimming around the edge of that there. Like you can, like, you're kind of acting as like a somewhat of an opposing force to the apparatus. You're kind of facing directly at it and kind of, kind of pushing against the salvage here to try to make sure it stays in place. While you're doing this here, Torta, you're in the process of trying to kind of counterbalance this a little bit, and you notice in like the corner of your eye, like off to your right, um, you see a very kind of sudden uh, movement, or like you kind of feel a sudden movement of water, kind of in the darkness off to your right, Torta.
All right, we still got the arms of doom out. We're ready.
Okay.
I don't know how this will work in water, but we'll get it.
Right. So you kind of turn to like you kind of see this little flash of movement in the darkness, and this kind of you feel like the force of some water kind of coming in your direction, and suddenly kind of blasting out of the darkness is this massive, gnarly looking shark that just comes out and just right into the side of this big piece of salvage that is being held here. And like, you're holding onto this, and like Boo, you're holding onto this in the apparatus. And, the force of this thing hitting the salvage, like all of you are kind of bumped like quite a ways backward. You're kind of on the side, maybe rolling a bit. Um, you manage to keep a grip on it at the moment, but you're kind of like Boo. You find yourself kind of rolling a few times underwater with this, and Torta, you're trying to keep a hold on it as it's kind of flying away. The lights are kind of bouncing off of all sorts of things as you're like rolling underwater. Here, let's here's the nasty fucker.
Oh, he doesn't look nice at all.
No, he does not.
Like Boo, you aren't really able to see a whole lot from where you were, because like, while this is going on, like before this happened, like you got this, big chunk of stuff, and that's kind of filling up most of the porthole here from what you can see. Like you can mostly just see like, some of the plating and stuff that's happened to be in front of the glass. And, suddenly you find yourself like, you get bashed into like the wall, like the opposite wall, as this apparatus is like doing some barrel rolls underwater. And like you can't really, see much of anything. You're kind of bouncing off some of the walls here until you manage to get like a grip on the chair and try to kind of hold on to keep yourself from just getting tossed all over. And eventually you come to a halt, kind of at an awkward angle, and you're not really sure what's going on, Boo, on the inside. What are you doing?
Oh, use message
Okay.
to, well, hold on. Can I do that? I need to see how that targets. I'll point my finger to the direction that, like, I generally saw Torta last.
Yep.
And I'll use message and I'll say, Torta, this is Boo. What's going on?
Okay. So, Torta, you hear the voice of Boo in your head.
2 words: giant fish.
Oh, shit. Does this thing have any weapons? Or just the claws, huh? Just the claws.
Like Boo, you're kind of looking around over the controls here, and like you've gotten somewhat familiar with them, at least in the time you spent, and like the only thing you really know of would be the claws that could be used as weapons of some sort. But other than that, it doesn't seem to have any other like weaponry or arsenal.
Along with giant fish, I'm just gonna say go. For Boo to go. I'm gonna try to engage this thing.
Okay.
What does it take to head to get to the surface?
Let's see. Let me see. How far underwater are we right now? So with how far down you are, it probably takes at least, like, if you were just going like straight up just to get to the surface, it would probably take at least 2 minutes, like 1.5 to 2 minutes. Like if you just full on ascend buoyancy.
All right, well, Boo has seen what Torta can do. He listens. He'll start navigating out.
Okay.
He said go, so Boo will go.
All right. So Boo, like you managed to kind of right the vessel enough, and slam that buoyancy lever all the way up, and things start moving upwards. So Torta, you can see the apparatus kind of moving that way, and as it's starting to head that direction, you realize that it's also taking the light with it that you are using to see.
How does that work? Because I do have dark vision.
That's a good question.
I would assume. I mean, frogs have the lens that they put down so they can see, kind of like the snakes.
Yeah, like the nictating membranes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would assume so. I think actually most animals have like like that's something that humans don't have. They don't have a nictating membrane. Let's see. From what I'm reading, dark vision should still work. Like it, it allows you to see in the dark, and like not in color, but you can still see in the dark. Whether that's like it's still just dark. There's just water around. Like the only thing that would really change that would be depending on how like dirty the water is.
Ooh.
At least down here, um, it's not too bad.
So if I pop on the ring and I kind of approach the bottom of the salvage and the crab,
mhm.
does that leave the obscured fog?
With the way that spell works, I think like the kind of the foggy effect kind of is around you. Like it's not like it's kind of a magical fog. It's not like a weather fog.
Right, but I'm saying like if I lay up against the bottom of this, like I imagine it's not super huge.
No, the apparatus isn't super huge. No.
I'm just trying to cover enough so maybe that while we're going, if this thing gets next to us, I can hop onto it or like reach out to it.
Okay.
Trying to sneak attack on him.
Okay. So like trying to kind of blend yourself in with the bottom of the thing with your blur ring.
Yeah.
And if it gets too close, be like, huh!
Yep. I'm gonna reach out and touch somebody.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say that would be a reasonable plan.
All right, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna be
Okay.
a frog mist.
Frog mist.
Frog fog.
All right. So, Torta, you're kind of, digging around in whatever, pockets you have and pop your ring on. And, you're kind of, as you're, putting this on, you're kind of looking around, seeing the light kind of fading as Boo and the apparatus and everything else are kind of floating upwards. And you kind of deftly swim your way upwards, kind of get up against the bottom of the craft. Like Boo, you can kind of hear from the inside. You can hear, feet and hands kind of against the bottom of the craft there as Torta kind of lands himself on it and is trying to kind of find a good grip. Torta, roll a perception check for me as you're kind of getting settled onto the bottom of this thing. Okay. So like Torta, you get yourself a good grip spot, and you're kind of like bending your head back a bit to kind of get a look down below you, and you see, kind of coming up out of the darkness. This thing is like charging pretty straight up at you, like at the apparatus from below.
All right, I'm gonna try to orientate myself and kick off the crab, and I'm aiming right for his eyeballs.
Okay. Here, let me I'll put a token for him on the. That's way bigger than it should be. He's not that big. If you have the harbor map up, you should see a big ass O there that you can target.
I've got 2 different maps. I'm trying to find it.
Here,
I got 3. Never mind, I found it.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
And we're just rolling to hit, correct?
Yep.
It would be 5 attacks total.
All right.
With the frog arms of dooms.
All right. Nice. Nice. All right, so you like this thing comes just and I get it. It's pretty terrifying to look at because you got like this kind of pool of light around this apparatus that you are at underwater, and you can see like out of the light you can see this just large dark shape just rocketing upwards, and then eventually like it gets to the light, and this just nasty looking face of this shark that has all these these little fins and things coming off of its face. Like it looks like I mean, this thing is huge. It's clearly been around a long ass time, and it's probably killed a lot of things in that time as well. And it's rushing upwards, like mouth agape, in your direction, and you start laying out some blows onto this, trying to like beat it off and keep it from ramming directly into the bottom of this apparatus. And you manage to connect quite a few of these punches, hitting it around like the face, and kind of trying to get in its eyes and see what you can do there. um Obliteros here, like as you're kind of going around him here trying to uh punch him off, he's trying to bite at you like this whole time, and manages to get a decent chomp at you, um, and does a pretty significant bit of damage to you with this bite. And like Boo, like you're in here kind of frantically driving this ship, and like looking out of the porthole here, like you can still mostly just see like the salvage that's being held onto here, and you can kind of start to see like red, kind of like you know like the red from the blood in the water starting to kind of come up and get in front of the porthole here, kind of coloring the water in front of you, with whatever's going on underneath you. You can kind of hear Torta punching the hell out of this thing, and like after it gets this bite into you, you're still punching it a couple times, and it kind of backs off a bit from that, and Torta, you're kind of bracing yourself back up against the bottom of the apparatus here, trying to catch a moment, and kind of observing your wounds here. And roll another perception check for me, Torta, as you're trying to keep an eye on this thing, kind of seeing how things are here. Nice. Okay. So, Torta, you kind of brace yourself against the bottom of this, like you've been trying to, um, hold close some of these like wounds, or like where this thing's teeth tore into you here. And like you look down and like you see like the dark shadow kind of circling a bit outside of your outside of the lights pool, and you can see it start heading up towards you again in another dash. And then, much to your surprise, you see another movement off to the left of you, also kind of in the water here. And all of a sudden you see, there's the dark shadow of this shark, coming vertically up below you, and then suddenly off from the left, this massive shadow that you can't quite get a good read on of what exactly it is, comes smashing across this other shadow, like just out of the pool of light. And you see the shape of this shark get like dragged off to the right of you underwater by something else huge. And like you aren't able to get the best of reads on it, but it doesn't quite seem to be like, it doesn't look like it's shaped like a fish. Like it doesn't seem to be like marine creature shaped. The only thing you get off of it is some quick flashes of kind of an orangey color. And these two shadows kind of disappear off to the right of you, and in not too much of a short order, the apparatus that you guys are rising on gets far enough out of like this deeper part of the harbor that you're kind of up into the clear, and rising quickly, and eventually kind of pop out of the surface of the water into the air a little bit. If you remember when you were a kid at the pool, did you ever have those kickboards and hold those kickboards underwater and then let go of them
Oh,
and
yeah.
go and hopefully not hit you in the jaw?
But it did.
But it
hit
did.
the jaw.
that kind of thing. So you guys are rocketing up out as fast as you possibly can, and Torty, you're holding on to the bottom of this apparatus, and this whole thing, salvaged and all, just kind of pops up probably a good 7 or 8 feet out of the water. It just boop, pops out of the water, and Torty, you're suddenly in the air on the bottom of this thing, and you kind of have some nice hang time there. It's really sick and radical, and you come splashing back down, and you're kind of bobbing there on the top of the water, and you've made it back to the surface, and
Get behind the crab and start kicking as fast as I can to get the hell out of Dodge.
yeah. All right. So Boo, you're kind of recovering on the inside from kind of this popping out of the water. You kind of lifted out of your seat a bit from the G-force of it all, and you come landing back down kind of roughly in the seat, probably bruise your ass a bit, and you're just on the surface now holding this, and you kind of you hear Torta moving around outside. You're kind of glad to hear that he's not gone. You saw a lot of red in the water there, and you weren't really sure what was happening. But you hear him kind of moving around outside, and you hear him kind of grabbing on the backside of it and trying to kick and give some extra impetus. I assume you're probably just kicking it in gear and trying to go back towards Grinda's.
Really?
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So you two managed to make it back safely to Grinda's. Again, she seems to be she's sitting in a chair inside the kind of boathouse, kind of looking out over, and she's already standing up, and as you're getting decently close, she's already out and going back out to the outer part of the dock and kind of waving you over there, and you pull up with your salvage here, and with a few ropes, and she manages to get this tied up as well. And she's kind of looking over toward on the outside here, and sees you're kind of banged up and bleeding here, and she's like, "Goodness, what? Ran into some trouble down there, did you?"
Yep, I was kicking the shark's ass, and then something else came. Let's get the hell out of the water.
My goodness. Well, I can't say that's the first time I've heard of that one. That shark has given me some trouble in the past before. Oh, he's a nasty one, that one.
Yeah, there was something bigger that's trying to eat him, so I don't want to be any. He was big enough by himself.
Oof. Well, there's always a bigger fish. Boo, are you getting the heck out of the apparatus here?
Yeah, I'm good. I can't quite deal with the deeps with my own magic yet, so I'm done. I'm
Okay. Yeah, you come popping out of the top of the hatch here. You got maybe a little wider in the face than you looked before, and she Torta was relaying his experience here with this big nasty shark, which she seems to have heard of before and run into before down there, but she kind of seems to nod understandingly. And he says, "Well, that's certainly one way to be introduced to the deeps the first time. Well, at least you came back alive."
Barely. And I'm looking at all the blood rushing down from the teeth marks.
Well, here, I have some, I can help get you patched up a little bit in here. Come with me. And she kind of leads you over into the house here, where she's got, some of her various kind of alchemical supplies and things like that. And, starts bringing out some bandages and some kind of, crudely made potions and things to try to help out with that. Let's see. Let me see here.
I have a flaming eye and now I have a cool shark bite. This is gonna be an awesome scar.
Right? Let's see. That's 2. Oops. All right. So with the potion that she gives you, it's a little rough around the edges, but it seems to be a well enough potion of healing. And so you find yourself, healed a little bit from this tortoise. So go ahead and heal yourself for 8. And then she has some kind of some bandages and some kind of clean cloths that she binds around some of the bite marks that you've got that are kind of mainly on. You got a pretty big chunk of an arm and across maybe one of your thighs, where kind of the edges of its jaw on the left side, so just your left arm and your left thigh have these pretty badass looking shark chunks taken out of them, but she's kind of helping bandage these up a bit as well. And those help kind of staunch the bleeding there and kind of slow things down, so you're able to at least walk well enough, maybe with little assistance from Boo. But you'll definitely need a little bit of a rest to fully recuperate.
All right, much appreciated, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, certainly. Well, I mean, I can't thank you enough for the work you've done here. I am eagerly waiting to look over some of this apparatus remains that you've brought back to me here. And of course, you are more than welcome now. As appreciation for you helping me here, you are more than welcome to come back and use this anytime you like, if you have any business that you have in the harbor.
Oh, by the way, watch out for the dead guy in the driver's seat. He didn't look too good.
Oh, well, in my line of work, searching for ancient treasures and things, I'm not too uncommon with finding the dead, or at least their remains, amongst the ruins that I find. So, but thank you for letting me know. I'll be sure to dispose of him as best as I can.
Sounds good.
All right. So with that, I think we will call that good for tonight. Made it out of your little undersea escapade this time.
I was really hoping I killed the shark so I could drag it back with me.
That would have been badass.
That would have been a pretty sick
Oh,
trophy for the troll skull wall there, wouldn't it?
Yeah, a mounted shark head above the bar. Could you imagine that?
Yeah, that would have been badass, Torter.
I tried, man. I landed all 5 punches.
You sure did. Let's see, who else is? Anybody else?
That was a pretty entertaining fight.
There's a lot of interesting stuff underwater. That is for sure.
Just tells you, don't mess with Torta. By land or sea, he'll still whoop your ass.
All right, he looks like Rob 2E is the only other one I really have on right now, so we'll raid him since he's doing D&D as well.
Oh man, do you guys have any idea of the stuff I have planned in that basement? I don't know what's
I am interested to see what kind of stuff you got cooked up down there. Oh boy.
I have a 100-page notebook